There we go. Hey guys, how's it going? Hope everyone's doing okay. Yeah, so I've actually started this a little bit earlier, so it starts 6, but nah, there's no point sitting around doing nothing. So, yeah, in terms of where we're up to, obviously nothing's really changed since the last stream, which I think was Tuesday or Wednesday, it's hard to remember. I think it was Tuesday. So I'll be obviously continuing on retopology. To be honest, retopology will probably be the next 2 streams after this one. It's going to be a little while. Probably stream 10 is when we get back into sculpting and doing the more fun stuff. But, you know, it's important to document the boring stuff too. So, one quick side note, because I did get a few questions. I did post kind of this, you know, on my Facebook and a few other places as well. And one of the messages I got is like, you know, how the fuck are you going to connect these two? So one thing that's kind of important to say is like the resolution of this mesh isn't the final resolution that I'll be using. Generally, like with this project being what it is, which is I'm going to go for something that's pretty realistic and I'm not worried about viewport performance or anything like that. I'm just going to make it as high res as I want. So I figured when doing the ear topology, I'll retopologize in the final resolution. And then what I'll do for the head is I'll retopologize it like this kind of resolution, get the body blocked out, and then once everything's done, I'll smooth it and then try to connect these. It's still not going to be 1-to-1. There's a lot of edge termination that's going to need to happen, but it's a lot closer. And this is as far as VFX goes, this is still like perfectly acceptable. I've definitely seen higher res models than this in my time in VFX, so this is absolutely fine. So that's the general plan, but we way off that. We still got quite a lot of retopology to do, so I'm just going to get on with it. So let's get that guy live, and let's turn off this. So I'm going to continue on the ear first, because I kind of want to get the back of the ear blocked out before I do the rest of the body. And let me just make sure everything is, there we go, just muting other pages. There we go. So, yeah, let's get on with it then. So, where is he? Draw. I do have a temptation to kind of work on this off stream, just because I'm a lot quicker when I'm off stream. I'm not like, you know, way quicker off stream, but it's quick enough where it does make a difference, and obviously retopology is a slow process, so there is always a temptation for me to do stuff off stream. But I've skipped over retopology in like every stream so far, or every series so far. Like I've always done like, you know, the eyes off stream or the ears or whatever. So I figured this project I'll try to resist the temptation to just kind of skip ahead, and hopefully it's worth it. I'd be very sad if it isn't. I'm just gonna do every other one for now. I'll just connect them up later, might be quicker. Come on. Obviously, we're going to get a shit ton of spiral loops from this retopology workflow, where I'm doing my highest res base mesh kind of as I go. I'm not starting super low res and then up-resing it. So naturally, that's going to lead to a lot of loops that are very precise and have very specific jobs, which means that they just won't combine. Like when it comes to actually putting stuff back together and connecting this to the head, there's going to be a lot of spirals. Well, not spirals, but, you know, loops that don't terminate back on themselves. The sort of loop where you can't just add an edge loop, which isn't great, but since this asset's not going to be rigged or anything, it's, well, it might get rigged to the body, but that's fine. But it's fine to have, you know, some loops going over each other in something as complex as an ear, for example. I've wasted many hours of my life trying to get ear topology to be really nicely looping, which is perfectly possible on simple assets, like on Dragon Boy. I think his, not Dragon Boy, on a character I made called Edward, which is a boy with a green jumper. He was entirely self-contained on the loops, like every loop on the ear terminated back on itself, which is really hard to do on ears that aren't that simple. So I'm going to try to, there's no point holding myself to that same standard for an asset like this, where it's much, much more complex. So this loop can be the one that goes around everything, right? So this will be the one that like encloses the entire ear. You still do want like the ear to have at least one loop that isolates it from everything. You don't want like every single loop to reach, you know, completely around the model or anything like that. So let's just do that. This area will need a lot of smoothing to work. Granted, it's also going to have to be combined. My plan for this loop is just to have it basically allow me to cut the ear off when I'm UVing it. It doesn't serve a purpose for rigging or anything like that. At least not as far as I'm aware. You'd need a very specific character to require loops like this that have an actual purpose. So that's the loop we need to connect it to. I'm just going to do that. It's easier sometimes to create the loop further along and then kind of merge it back in. So let's get this at least somewhat evenly spaced. I really like that feature, the way that that tool works. And the bottom we're going to need to do the same loop, which might be a little bit more difficult down here. Or it might not. That actually worked surprisingly cleanly. So we need to connect that all the way. Nope. Why do I want that? There we go. Cool, and do the same for this bit here. Let's see if we can find a camera angle. There we go. All these retopology tools are camera based, by the way. So if you ever find that you're having difficulty getting it to orient the way that you need, try moving your camera. Which also, as a side note, that includes the smoothing tool. It is camera based, at least to some extent. I don't know if it's technically camera based, but I know that the way it acts when I use it is definitely influenced by the camera. So, I mean, test it for yourself, make sure, you know, I could be completely misinterpreting what it does, but I don't think I am. I've used it for a fair few years at this point, but I could still be completely wrong. I don't know. Naturally, it's hard to tell when you're wrong. If anyone knows actually how it works, like if it is genuinely camera based or not, do let me know. You're not going to go nicely, are you? There we go. It shit me. Thanks. I think that's the direction I wanted to go. You're always wrong. So I know these loops are getting very spread out, but I'm gonna try something. So this bit we definitely want stuff to happen. What happens if I insert a loop there? Yeah, badness. Alright, cool. That's a lot better though. So I'm oversimplifying this loop way too much. I will cut something back in to capture this kind of thing on the back of the head. Clear dots. Yeah, so now is where we get into trouble. One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. I just want to see if this will work. It might not. Come on. Sometimes you have to go in and manually select the vert you want. There we go. So let's just see how this works, if it works. We definitely need to do some edge loop termination back here, but let's just check first. That's pretty awful topology. Okay, so that's an abandoned thing. Let's undo all that. So let's keep the same amount of loops though. We'll delete as many as we need to delete later. Oh, I need to undo further. I may have to correct that topology again. Alright, I think that's working. So let's do it properly then. Let's go in and add the loop that we need ahead of time. Question is, do I want this loop to be self-contained? Like, do I want it to just circle around the ear? In which case, would that mean that this middle edge loop needs to be on that edge? As in, like, the middle loop should be where the head connects to the ear. I think that would make the most sense. It also gives me more room. Notice I'm doing every other loop. There's no point doing every single loop. Or every other edge, sorry. So let's let's just insert loop there. Cool. So let's do, yeah, let's have it be self-contained. Let's do that. And so let's extend you all the way down. That's actually, this might be a, come on. Why didn't I let me select the edge? Okay, I was about to say this way could be quicker, but that relies on it actually listening to what I'm telling it to do. So now we've got a loop that goes around this whole thing. Just quickly fill in some of these polygons. Perfect loops, but they're good enough. Although I do need to remember this area won't be subdivided. So when I smooth everything out, this might be really low res. I say it might be low res, it is low res. Guess we can allow that. That works. This area is really ugly though. I really don't like what's going on here. So, rather than connect that shit all the way up, let's do... We'll be adding some more polygons. forget to delete history, it's getting slow. There we go. So what we can do is later on, we can simplify the topology behind here. Just delete a couple loops here or there, nothing too major. Or like terminate a few loops here or there. Hey Ibrahim, how you doing, man? This feels a little bit ugly. Is it worth getting rid of this loop? I can always insert it back in later, it just feels like it's adding a bit too much. I've still got like the entire body to do. So let's do the same thing as earlier. Well, this will need to be terminated. What's the best way to do that? Could do that. Dive everything across. Seems pretty bad though. Let's go to that. Problem now is we're going to have all these topology lead into like a single point over here, which is nuts. Where are you going? Oh, it's in that hole. Yeah, okay. I'll allow it, I'll just have to sculpt it out later. This is where we start getting messy. My knee just cracked really badly. So I definitely need to find a nicer way of doing this area. So one thing I find very helpful when I'm doing retopology is sometimes I have to like yank myself out of thinking of a problem in a particular way. Because it's way too easy to get yourself stuck in a mindset. Not mindset, that's the wrong term. It's too easy to get yourself stuck in like a certain workflow. And what I mean by that is like, currently I'm thinking, okay, let's take all this topology up, but maybe it's worth ignoring that completely. And it's like, okay, let's retopologize this area on its own and see what we end up with down here, and then we'll tackle the connection. Rather than make this work the whole way up, we'll handle it in case by case. So what I know for sure is I want a loop there to follow the kind of shape at the back. So obviously that's this guy going through. Naturally that's resolving to this, and again resolving to there. But now this area is looking kind of weird, so we'll have to kind of come back to that. Let's insert loop there because those polygons are way too stretched. And I'd say we probably we're gonna want some more topology there, aren't we? And I don't want to add any more edge loops along this, because that winds through everywhere. In fact, that's one of the loops that we can't add to. This loop we can add to. So if we need to, we'll pull everything back. But for now, let's do that. Come on. There we go. So naturally that's going to want us to go this way. And it's also entirely possible right now that I'm just moving my problem. Like, rather than tackling the actual issue, I'm probably just avoiding it temporarily by doing this. We can't really insert a loop there. Like, we can technically, but we don't really need to. So this needs to now combine down, which doing that is fine. Doing that is a bit more questionable. Well, that's questionable too. Okay, so this area is getting a bit too spread out, which means we need more resolution. So that will be how that combines. This is pretty ugly, but we'll get back to it. It doesn't help that all these polygons are like so stretched out. I feel like the topology inside the ear would have to change for this to be much nicer. And fuck that. So we need to get 3 to 1, which is actually really easy. So let's do that. And then insert that loop. So we should probably move that further up. So let's just push all this back. What we want to do is continue 3 up a bit further. And we'll terminate it where it's not as visible. And we'll have to move all this topology around to make it a little bit less unpleasant to look at. This area is fucked. We need way more going on in this area, so let's... Wait, okay. So, let's just straighten that out. Let's return back to thinking about the problem in a different way. So this feels like it wants to continue that way, so we can just come on, do that. So that loop can go into the side. Let's clear dots. I'm also just going to delete the history quickly. That loop can do the same, but that starts to get a little bit questionable, but let's just give it a go anyway. We can always delete it. The key is to not be precious about deleting anything. Obviously, each time we do this, we're redirecting more loops back, so we do need to keep an eye on that, although this is actually resolved. Because that's free and that's free. So we can spread these out a bit more, but for now, let's just close that gap. So let's just do that. And then relax all this out. There we go. That's still not too pretty, but it's better. That looks a lot more satisfying. And the nice thing about approaching it with a more hands-off technique is that you end up with topology that follows the forms a lot more. So it ends up with a lot of polygons, but it ends up with quite nice polygons, although this area is janky as all hell, so we should try to re-resolve this. No, but that gets rid of that loop, doesn't it? Okay, so we need this to go sideways. So let's just add another. Oh, you are a bitch, aren't you? This entire area needs redoing. is that can't happen. All that did was move. Oh, that's actually really interesting. Of course that's what it does. Okay. That's not what that calls for, is it? I mean, we do have more loops back here now. Why are you not like, there we go. No, I do need that closed loop up there. That gives me a lot of control over this back shape. Because I can just add a loop if I need it to be more defined. So we do need that. The bit that's specifically doing my head in is that, because the polygons are just way too big. And they're doing too much work. But I can't just bring that in. And technically I can, but... that's ugly as all hell. That's also ugly as all hell. I just don't want to continue it straight in. We might be kind of forced to. I mean, there's always a workaround. Maybe I'll come back to this area. It just... it needs more. Oh, that's disgusting if that works. I'm not sure I can deal with that. I feel like I need this to continue through. That's now a closed loop again. You're not very nice though, are you? And that's a loop that I can't split. So, delete that guy. This is a 3-to-1, but it's got this attached to the side of it. I mean, it is one of the ugliest things I've ever seen. considering that loop up more has removed some of that control again, so that's not a better topology than what we were just doing. I'm gonna undo until right before I did that change. Is that the change? Yeah, that's the janky shit, alright. Okay, let's alt save. Hey G1. This area is so bad. What happens if I just connect it? We got a 6-point star, but is that worse than what we had a moment ago? I mean, 6-point stars can always be split into 2 5-point stars. That's something I learned a little while ago. Like, they can always be separated. I don't think there's any exceptions to that rule. 6 points can always become 2 5-points. And 2 5-points would be better than that. But then there's already a 5-point there, so it'd be 3 5-points. Ah! If only I could add a loop here. Well, I can't. I don't want to add a loop down the whole fucking air because of this area. I didn't mean to do all that. You are the issue. Early stream today. Oh, absolutely. I just didn't want to do it in my evening. I kind of wanted to chill out for a couple hours and then spend tonight playing some games. Weirdly, I've gotten back into. I haven't actually played it again yet, but in terms of like watching like background videos while I do stuff, Team Fortress 2 is appealing to me again. So I've re-downloaded that and I'll be playing that later. I haven't played it in years. I think last time I played it was on the Xbox 360, and I've had it on Steam for a long time, but just never play it. This area's not really doing too hot either. So what can we do here? So you need to get shit. It's a 2-to-1 and a 2-to-1. I don't like that 6-point start. I mean, it's not in a destructive place. It's in a place where no one will ever see it. But I know it's there, and I feel like my personal projects. One of the reasons I do them is so that I can push quality as long as I want. I just don't have to care about budget. Whereas in, obviously, professional life, you have to care about budget. Or at very least, deadlines. Which is the same thing, really, but... So many polygons. That's a loop. Right, okay. So. Wait, did I accidentally create a clean loop around here? Oh no, it's crashing into itself. So close though. That'll create 5. Yeah, 5 down here. What happens if I smooth this? Smooth. So let's mesh, transfer attributes, vertex position, sample by world, transfer. Oh, didn't want to do that. How motivated are you from 1 to 10? Well, on this project right now, it's in that middle area right now where because I'm doing retopology and bored as all hell. I do enjoy retopology, but I enjoy it to a point, you know? Why is this so slow? Yeah, that area's ugly as all hell. We'll get back to this, but let's just delete this for now. In terms of a 1 to 10, I mean, I'm not entirely sure I could simplify it that much, but if you really want a 1 to 10, I'd say about an 8. This is really struggling. Come on. Right, F8. Come on. Will you stop, please? There we go. Maya's performance of high poly objects needs to be fixed. I'll come back to this area. I'm not happy with this bit. I'll come back to it. So let's get back to doing everything else. Because this is still a fair bit of work to go as well. So what we're going to need to do is give ourselves a bit more room, that's for sure. So let's put that loop in line with the muscle. No, I don't want to do that, it's pretty ugly. I guess just guide it down the neck. So is this going to be our first neck loop? I think so. Let's start with this muscle. Feel like connecting right here? Oh yeah, it's on different mesh, isn't it? I might have to dynamesh the sculpt to itself. But that's gonna cause issues for you, isn't it? Connect that later. Keep that there as a placeholder. What I'm doing at the moment is going either side of it, which obviously means it won't capture the shape like at all. It will ignore it completely, like that. But what that means I can do later is just insert a loop, and it will match it. So, let's get the chin working. Something I'm pretty certain on is I want to make sure I've got a clean middle line, like all the time. So, let's get that clean middle line in there. I can add more complexity to this topology later. For now, I just want to make sure that I capture that sort of stuff. very strange loop. That's going to result in shall I not follow the stunner? I don't know, I feel like I should. Let's ignore it for now and rebuild topology later. In fact, I'm going to restart the neck. So, play dots. What loops do I know that I need? I need one that goes completely around the neck, so let's just throw a quick loop around the whole neck. So now we got to decide where does it connect. That's on the middle of the neck, so let's say that goes around this area. So let's just widen that a little bit. Come on. They really need to work on the... it's on the merge between two objects. They need to... I feel like there should be a way to merge those two. Like, just merge the two meshes. I'm gonna have to go into ZBrush. Quickly dynamesh these together. Import. All I'm going to do is grab the decimated head. Did I just call it head geo? I don't know why wax is applied. I used to love this material. So that's just the head. So that's obviously not what we need. Okay, so we want to dynamesh this and decimate it again. Dynamesh, what happens at 128? That's obviously way too low resolution. We're gonna have to put this disgustingly high and just leave it cooking for a bit. Is that done already? Jesus. Oh, well, it's actually not that high res, that makes sense. Let's go even higher res. 1000, which I think is, no, 2000 is max. Or 2048 is max, or something like that. 3.2 mil, we can go higher. Let's go 2000. .2 mil, I guess it's hitting a ceiling. But that's fine. We can now, what's the word? We can now decimate that again, because now it's just one piece. 10% of current. Basically, whenever we're working in an area where multiple meshes intersect, we'll just swap out the model for this model instead. For areas like the ears and the eyes, we want to keep the old one, where we had everything separate. But the quad draw tool struggles with two meshes that are almost overlapping. Also, quick side note, so resolution, it's obviously capping out at some kind of max value, but in theory, what you can do is just smooth the model, not smooth the model, scale the model up, then dynamesh it. And then once you've done that, scale it back down. Very decimated. One piece. I guess combined would be a better name. I'll just go to that. Let me just delete the one piece one. Cool. And then let's get into that reference editor. File, reference. Great reference. So now we'll have a much easier time in areas like this one, because it's all one piece again. So we can just move that around freely. There you go. I knew that was the issue. Just had that feeling in my bones. Cool, delete the history on that. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh wait, 5. So that's 10 loops around. Let's make that 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now, if we wait, where's the okay display? Heads up display. Play count. So we got 16 loops going around. Cool. It's just like a good round number to work with. Granted, in the case of this workflow that I'm using for retypo, it doesn't really make a difference, but you know, wherever I can, I like to keep things simple for myself. So something I could do, which might be worth trying, is having loops sit on either side of this. So I'm going to think. I've definitely forgotten how to read topology well. Or retopologize well, sorry. This is why I find it so important to actually practice. Because one discussion that started when I posted this on my Facebook is like, oh, use Wrap 3D. And it's like, I personally, like, I get it for production, I really understand it for production. But on personal projects, I just feel like, for me at least, it would do me a massive disservice to use Wrap 3D all the time. Reason being is, yes, it's the fastest, but I'm not a professional modeler. Like, I'm not really great at it. Like, I can sculpt, sure, but like, I'm not a great modeler. So if I was to suddenly be like, you know, I'm going to never retopologize again and just shortcut each time, it's like, yeah, that's great for production when you need stuff fast, but pretty awful for actually practicing, right? I feel like I'd completely lose the ability to retopo if I did that. And again, like, you know, for guys who really know their shit, it's great, but I don't really know my shit. Ran over. I just felt like I had to say that. It's something that frustrates me. Like when people kind of just say, oh, this software is what you need. It's like, no, not necessarily. Might have different priorities. I do not like that loop. So we've lost that nice 16 number, but so be it. If it's what we need to get good loops. So let's underline this skull. There we go. So that's the way that that wanted to terminate. So that now goes down the neck, and you would terminate there. Nope, that's not what I want to do. So, 1, 2, 3. Let's keep this simple while we can. I can go in and kind of add the complexity later, but I've just noticed that this is free and that's free. So this is the perfect time to connect it up, right? Although, no, it's oversimplified. Oh well. In which case, how many loops is this bad boy? 44. Oh wait, no, okay. $26. That's a really awkward number. So I guess best course of action right now is to just connect everything up, and then I can start going in and slicing shapes where I want them. Because I feel like this topo here isn't what I want. Like this isn't working for me. The chest is nowhere near defined enough. I'm going to be relying too much on displacement, I feel. So let's add a loop here. In fact, let's get rid of both of those loops. So let's go, let's have you follow the traps. In fact, why did I add those? Add them when we need them, not if we think we need them. So let's guide you to that guy. Although technically it would go there, so let's do that instead. Cool. So then we're gonna want that, that, so this is the base of our neck, so let's continue that around. Because it's kind of naturally brought itself to a 5 point. So we want to make sure we keep that. Which means really these should connect. And we'll just move them up. Hello. Okay, that's connected now. So I can't terminate these on each other. So let's just add that there. Naturally, this guy wants to go back this way. I may need to loop this back on itself. Let's just quickly smooth this area out. I feel like I need more resolution here, which is not good. So that's going all the way down the body. I always struggle with this area. Again, this is why I feel like I need to practice doing retopo rather than just doing it and skipping it even. Oh. You're gonna need that loop anyway. Does that not feel a bit oversimplified though? Because that's a really weird flow. Like that is very strange. Three to two, how does that work? I mean, is it too ugly? I think it's too ugly. That's how it wants to pull. That doesn't look pretty to me. Maybe we should try connecting the head before I worry too much about all this. So let's just empty this area out. I guess we do kind of have to delete this bottom loop. I'll keep that, because that is a really good kind of marker, so let's just connect that back up. Oh, that's a really good marker to keep, I think. So let's connect up the jaw, and we'll see what we do and don't need. I'm also going to do this. So I've had an idea about these. So, although it's immediately going to fail, what would be the best way to do that? Again, this is where the whole thing of, is it worth trying to keep simplified loops, or is it better to now go in and start doing some of this stuff by hand? Because terminating loops is nice and easy. That's not really something I'm worried about. Divide the neck first 2 into 4. You mean these guys? Because what I was thinking of doing is getting these edges here, running them along this kind of like hanging skin, and then bevel it with a middle segment, and that would allow me to capture it do that. Which for me, I quite like how that works as topology. Granted, I have to get rid of... How do I delete a single... How do I delete a single edge? And then... That's an ugly loop. Yeah, that's really ugly topology though. That feels like a clean way of handling these shapes, but it doesn't terminate up here particularly well. Oh, actually, one of the things I did say to myself is, like, oh, that's something else I need to fix. I don't like how this is all flowing backwards. And you, ooh, hello. Let's turn off symmetry for a moment. Nope, come on, there we go. Then mirror this back over. Let's just solo this. +5. Mirror that back over. And we don't want to merge border. Or actually, no, we do want to merge it, but we need to change that threshold to like something a lot smaller. There we go. So, I feel like we should actually do this. So one of the things I wanted to do was, oh, let's turn symmetry back on. World X. So it felt kind of pointless to have that loop, given that he doesn't have a visible, is it Filtrum? I think Filtrum is the correct term. So if he doesn't have one, there's no point having the loops for it. Oh, I just realized something that's going to be a nightmare. I need to, fuck, that's going to be awful. So I need the skin pores to stretch, right? Because he's already pulling an expression. I also need this line to match up, which is also going to be horrible. Let's just gently relax those. So now we can insert that loop. Control Alt. Oh, is that the shortcut to delete a single edge? It's not doing anything for me. Later on I'm going to need to reconstruct this area, I feel. Alright, so let's go to the brute force approach. Just match up some edge loops. And let's see how this relaxes. The problem with that approach is it leads to very non-uniform topology. In that, like, the front will be way denser than the back, which it now is. To delete an edge loop, control shift click an edge loop. Oh yeah, sorry, when I said edge loop, that was my bad. How to delete a single edge. In fact, there are shortcuts here, aren't there? Where's delete? Insert an edge loop. How do you delete a single edge? Wait, drag it. Control shift middle mouse. Ooh. Yeah, I don't think that, is there, am I missing something, or is there actually not a command to delete a single edge? Because that feels like it'd be a really weird addition, or lack of feature even. And granted, you can just leave the quad draw tool away, it's not the end of the world. So I'm just going to relax these out as far as I can, and going with this. So it's not awful, but I don't have any loops following the sternocleidomastoid, which means that if I was rigging that, it wouldn't be able to flare or anything. It's one of my things with topology. It's like, at what point is it forms versus like pure rigging, or like easy forms? I'm mixing all my words. I'm gonna go down the path of matching up to the sternocleidomastoid. So let's continue that down there. That's not what I want. Oh, there's a 5 point. So let's make it symmetrical. There is no single edge delete in quad draw. Yeah, it's so annoying. I feel like that would be a really helpful little thing. It wouldn't be something you use very often, but it'd be helpful when you do. Oh, this area's going to get brutal, isn't it? Oh well. Down it goes. I should just save before in fact, I'm going to quickly go back and save. Alt save. And let's just go through and delete all this again. I want to keep this stuff. Oh, hello. What's going on with you? So, there's the 5 point. Just delete the history because it's getting a bit slow. Also, RV, are you someone that I know, or are you just some dude on his? I might have asked you before, actually. I've got an awful memory sometimes. So, that's a kind of feasible loop, but very strange. Problem with this is it doesn't give me a loop where I can just cut off the head. I can connect these bits, but there's no like clean loop where the head can be disconnected, which is something that I've always tried to have in my models. The decapitation loop, which is not its name. I mean, I don't have any loops that have a particular name, to be honest, other than the mask loop, which is really easy to remember. Random guy. Fair enough. Well, I hope you find these videos entertaining. Right. Oh, it's gonna get so gross so quickly. I hate this type of loop work. Random guy for now, at least. Yeah, I mean, maybe I'll get to know you over time. Or finding him entertaining for now, at least. So I hope that will continue. But if not, that's fine. I'm gonna hate connecting the ears so much. That loop feels a bit iffy. Yeah, the question now is, how long do you continue a loop like this? Personally, I'd start breaking this now. Because that's a lot nicer going down here. Did you try zero mesh Did you try zero mesh as a base for each type of ears? No, I ended up just doing it by hand. I always like to try doing stuff by hand whenever I can, at least in personal projects. In professional work I use whatever is fastest, but when it comes to personal work I'm not really concerned about speed. This is ending too late, I feel. Then this loop is pretty awful. I feel like it'd be nicer if this looped back into itself, like if that went there. Still pretty gross though. Just try ending it sooner. That's getting too spread out. Let's just delete the history on that quickly. In fact, no, let's undo and then delete the history on it. Yeah, this is the problem with this type of loop, where if you're trying to follow a specific muscle, this looks too ugly. Why does the look of the loop matter? It's not necessarily the way the loop looks, it's more, think of topology as points that you can manipulate, right? So if you're trying to do a really smooth curve, you want evenly spaced points. Now let's say you've got a tube that you want to bend. It's not about evenly spaced points anymore, it's an evenly spaced surface. So if you've got any areas that are more dense than others, you're going to get a different result from the curve almost. So the reason it matters is because areas like this one, where the density is changing constantly, you know, you've got a point becoming 2 points or 3 points, whatever's happening, it ends up in a different result. Like this area, for example, if these were to curve, like let's say these were to flex inwards, you know, if he clenched or something, this area would pull in much more smoothly than this area, which means that you end up having like really weird results. And there is also the element, like RV says, when I smooth it, it's going to definitely, I mean, when you smooth topology it always looks better anyway, because a lot of the dodgy edges, let's, you know, for example's sake, if I take this topology, I mean this topology looks fine, it's nothing special, it's nothing bad either. But if I then move this over here and smooth it, those loops look a lot more presentable on this side. It's still not good, I really don't like this, but I don't know if there's a nicer way to terminate these, unless I terminate it all the way up here, but then we end up with too few edges. Maybe they can end on the same level. Is that worse or better? Feels a bit better. Yeah, this is bothering me. I can live with this, although I do kind of want to move that back up and just do that. That is a better appearance to me. But this, for some reason, just isn't working for me. Wait, is that? I guess it's not avoidable, is it? Unless I... Now that loop contains that one. But then that doesn't make sense anatomy-wise, so let's do that. Now that can continue the whole way down, which is the way it should. We're going to need to insert a loop here, potentially. So areas I'm not keen on, this one and this one, so basically this entire area down here. Which could mean it's worth redirecting some of these backwards. But let's alt save, complete history, back to this. So how about rather than do this, we attempt to I mean, that's better. Still not great though, because this is really quite gross. But now we have a loop that goes all the way down. Well, you're looping back on yourself like that. That's kind of gross. Let's have these two both continue down. Cool. They'll have to combine into a single point, I think. Just quickly get these back. My favourite song. This still... I want you to go backwards. Definitely don't want to do that. God, it just keeps going. Just experimenting. See what comes out of it. Relax that way out. He's playing too far that way. It would would go to there, wouldn't it? Let's do that one. Let's display. Set to face off an edge. So my problem is I don't like this. So what are my options? Rather than loop it up, I could loop it into the ear. Oh, rather than loop it across, I could loop it into the ear. So we are going to need resolution for the ear, like a lot of it. Let's try that. Which now means I can do a lot of shit here. So let's just, simplest method, insert some loops. Come on. Which I guess they're fairly nice loops in of themselves. Then we need this to be simplified. But honestly, we can get away with doing... Don't want to delete that. We go into the eye, so I don't want to add any loops to you. What did I just do? So you're curling forward, how about you don't? So, because we've got that, we can now collapse this, which makes it a lot easier to work with. So let's just collapse that loop because it's serving no real purpose. What does that result in? Nicer than what I had before. Still not perfect, but I can deal with it. The problem now is that this topology isn't actually following the jaw. So we need to make that follow. I mean, hell, even that's fine. Sometimes with the same flows you can just pull it back and get what you need. This is... I think that works. Alright, here's a check that we need to do. Granted, this one's quite an easy one to fix. But we need to make sure that these two... Well, actually, they don't need to be the same top, but that's 12, which is both sides, and this one's 10, so that's 5 and 6. So in theory, we would need to add another loop if we want it to be symmetrical. And then 10, so that's 5, and 8, so that would need an extra one. So we could remove one from here and add one to here, and then we end up with 5 on all sides. I feel like we don't need to add a loop here anyway, if not bevel this guy. This area is going to be a nightmare. But I need it to be asymmetrical, so I need to be asymmetrical shapes later, so. Very strange looking topology though. This area worries me a bit. That's too close to the. So naturally it's going to be a nightmare. Anything related to the ear in retopology world is a bitch. But let's just get that middle line. Hello, what are you? Oh, is that the focus cylinder I was using earlier? So that I'm fine with. That I'm okay with. Might be a little bit low res, but we will be smoothing that later. This is where the nightmares begin. I'll add that loop back in a sec. Oh, that goes down the back. Let's pull that further out. Like way further. This is our artificial density increase over here. Definitely want that to go that way. So this sort of shit you want to avoid at all costs. So I'm gonna undo that, I think, because that is way higher poly than that area there. We may need to do some more edge termination. Just quickly smooth that out while we're at it. How gross is this? Let's have a look. Disgusting. Doing that's removing the nice middle line though. Need to make sure we always keep that middle line. And that's even more gross. So that's been back on itself now, which is kind of an issue. Kind of not an issue. I don't know if I want to turn it into one or not. It would be very easy to turn back on itself, so I'm not too worried about it, but there's so many issues in this area. Why would I want that? There's way too much going on in this area. Goes down the arm. No, that's pretty good too. It feels too aggressive to do it like that. Maybe I should do that, but down here instead. Oh, actually, here. That's not what I want. That's what I want. Because that can actually serve a function. Not a very well defined function, but a function nonetheless. don't like that. Really don't like that. It's spreading out too much. Why are they pulling out? I need them to go that way. We could always use ZBrush to even out the topo, like with a sculpt tool. Something needs to define this more. I don't know what it is. Oh yeah, we need to figure out this whole this area is too messy though, isn't it? So it's closed, but I don't like it. Necks are the worst, man. These are really ugly. But if I get rid of one of these, it'd be more acceptable. If I can get rid of that, it'd be so much better. In hell. That's better. It's not good. Because there's too much being pulled away from this. And that's too low res. It's downside better. This is why triangles are a really helpful tool that I just really don't want to use. I feel like I need to find a good example of neck topology. Let me do some Googling. Let's see what comes up. Naturally, a lot of the stuff that comes up isn't great. Like, it's fine, it's serviceable, but not great. See, functionally, this is kind of what I want to do. And Golem's always a really good thing to refer to. I mean, he just goes with a simple tube topo, but it gets really tight here. That's my issue with it. Again, perfectly serviceable model, but it gets a bit too tight at the front. Like this density and that density are completely off of each other. And that's something that I'm trying to learn to avoid, because I know that I could just do a tube and call it done, but it doesn't feel right yet. And this, like, if I want to do a loop that follows a sternocleidomastoid, then this is going to the wrong place. I need to go all the way over here. And this, again, is like really not that pretty in here. There is something quite tricky about necks. Like the pit of the neck specifically. Yeah, that's what you want to avoid right there. That's insane. Yeah, he's not doing a defined. Should I just abandon wanting to match the muscle? Because it's single-handedly what's causing all the complexity, and this still isn't really following it. It doesn't feel right to keep that. Yeah, let's add another one of those, that'd be great. getting too much resolution here. Although he does have a slouch, which naturally will give you more of that, but I didn't really expect that to work. Don't know why I kept doing it, to be honest. Oh. Have it fall into the pit and neck. Go one lower still. Okay, that's one problem solved. That's definitely a lot cleaner now. Now you're the next issue. Let's go back to what I was saying about the ears. That's looking cleaner. Not clean is a really key distinction to make there, but cleaner. So that keeps. That's a lot better here. Now this area's not working for me. So, I mean, one of the driving factors is that the chest doesn't have enough. So let's insert that loop there. And allow that to space everything else out more evenly. We'll correct this stuff down here later. Oh, let's delete the history on it while I'm at it. Crash? Question mark? There we go. Alt save. There we go. So, delete history on you. And go back into Quadro. That's more acceptable. Still too much wiggly stuff going on. I'm not too keen on that. But we're definitely improving, which I've heard is a good sign. one thing to remember as well is we will be smoothing this. So it will eventually be... And that's starting to hold the shape pretty well. This is a bit sparse, but nothing we can't handle. But that would be the final topology. So we're obviously missing quite a lot of stuff, like here, for example. And this is still too dense. Too much happening here. It's getting there. Right. Should this continue back that way a bit more? I do feel like I'm on the verge of understanding topology a lot better than I do. I'm definitely not understanding it the way that I want to, but I feel like I'm not far off having some kind of click with retopology, where things suddenly make a bit more sense. We can dream. We can dream. And at least now, we got loops for that. Could it be worth these linking together, like down here? Is that cleaner? That makes a 6-point star. That's definitely cleaner looking. Alright, cool. We'll keep with that. The next area of contention for me is these two 5-point, or these 3 5-points being so close together. Might have to send this to some riggers and have them like destroy me for a little bit. Riggers are great people to speak to on topology, because they're the people who would suffer from bad topology. So they can tell you, I really don't want this shape, or I really need this shape, or whatever. Like, riggers are amazing for that. And I'm lucky enough to know some really great riggers. I feel like I should just trade one of these loops. Remove one going up and add one. Well, this is too dense already. Let me just have a quick look at it without anything going on. Modify, no. Set to face, soften edge. You're funky. Ooh, that's gross. Okay. This needs fixing. That's being completely cut apart. Okay, so we need to find a better way to terminate that. I mean, that works too. God fucking damn it. Overcomplicating topology is my crux. Nothing I love more than overcomplicating shit. So, rather than have these edges lead down here, which forces this, could I... Could I lead a loop under? And obviously I'll have to fix the triangle. Ooh. Might be onto something with that. Nope, don't want to do that. Nope, don't want to do that. Is that worth doing? So that gives us another nice controllable loop, so we can add resolution to the corner of the mouth without like adding tons of stuff. And that will hold up a lot better from the side. It does. Good. I'm going to try to space these out a bit more evenly, because obviously I will be subdividing these. Kind of works. Just relax all this way out, and then we're gonna have to pull this like all the way over there. Bigger. So next area that we were struggling with is this one, and that's a closed loop, which means we can just add some topology. It's this bit. I kind of want to define it a bit more. Let's look at that on its own. Because collarbones can need a little bit of help sometimes to be a bit more visible. I'll probably end the stream about 9 o'clock, because that's a 3-hour stream. So it's an hour from now. Yeah, this area is the next one. So let's focus on this for a little bit. And we'll need to add arms pretty soon. And a lower body. In fact, let's start getting on with that stuff. This is going to get brutal. I like to use that word a lot at the moment. One thing I might end up doing is when I smooth this, I'll probably end up deleting a lot of areas and kind of redefining some of the stronger shapes. It might even be to a point where I sculpt it for a bit and then re-topologize it again, but only in certain areas. That work better? trying to find what works best. That works better for me, I think. Again, easy thing to fix if I change my mind later. So glad that that is oh, fuck this. That can be the last loop that goes along. This isn't symmetrical enough. Like front and back symmetry, I mean. So I can just do that. That kind of works because we do have this form which we need to follow through. Is that 5 or 6? 1, 2, 3. Ah, that's a 6. Oh, and we have a 5 there, so we need a 5 here somewhere. Okay, so let's pull this way back for a moment. Do the 5s line up? Well, I've removed the 5s now, which actually makes it easier. Clear dots. So let's. Do they all connect? They do. How many edges does that have? 40, which means it's 20 per side. So it's not a nice division. We could delete that. Delete that. Solve this triangle by putting it down there. Actually, we can solve that triangle a different way. I didn't solve the triangle at all. That's not nice to look at all. The overall point is that I want to get these down to 16, which they should now be 36 by 30. No, that's 18. Well, fuck me, am I right? Okay, so let's get back to that. That's what it was before. I feel like I want. Okay, so that loop goes around the arm, and then that one goes up the head. Okay. So then you go around the arm, you go around the arm too. That's not necessarily what we want all the way up there, is it? Well, I guess it kind of is. You just need to pull it around. There's fine. There's fine. But now we got that climbing up there. What are you doing? There we go. Let's continue. Nope. Why would I want that? Okay, so that's I'm rebuilding a loop I had earlier, but that is intentional. Because now we've got that 5-point star and that one. They're both in line now. Although they're both on different sides of that loop, which means it's going to spiral, yeah. Okay. So you need to go, which way do you go? You go over. So I need to connect those two. So that's now a clean loop, which means the equivalents now are these two. So if I just drag connect that for a moment, that would now go around the body. So we're going down the right direction. Continue it for 3 loops. They now loop back onto themselves, so we can collapse this. Collapse this loop to keep it simple. Still the same flow, just less edges, easier to control. Really don't like this. Kind of want it to go over, but that would involve wait, where's that going? Oh no, fuck that. I want it to go over that way. I can't. Okay. Wait, do I not have any loops go from the back to the front? Oh, that's not good. Well, that's really not good. Okay. We definitely need to move this all over then. So these two need to connect. It's not adding it. There we go. Yeah, let's come back to that. My brain is fried on this section. Let's just pull it all back. Okay, so we've got a middle 1 2 1 2 1 2. Okay, so we need to That's starting to much closer resemble topology that I like. I'm wondering if it's worth getting rid of this stuff. Wait, I've been an idiot this whole time. That's how we get rid of that. Definitely have more loops at the front than the back. But that's okay, I think. Oh, these should be in line. 2. A spiral. I've ended up with the same loop. How do I move that up? Like, I'm actually not sure. Is it by... How did that happen? What am I even doing anymore? that's ugly. Just undo it until before that I can fix it on my next stream. I just don't like how on this side the two 5-point stars are perfectly in line and the other side is an offset between them. Technically, and I do mean technically, I can do that. That brings them in line. Well, I guess that is what's happening, right? As always, overcomplicating the process. That's better. Just have more loops than I needed. Still do have the resolution issue though. So I'm gonna insert a loop there, and delete this loop. I feel like I need to drag this round the back. Pull everything more towards the middle. That works a lot better. Still really don't like this bit. What is it I need to do to make that bit work? I just realised I've had this closed for a while. The thing I'm trying to avoid is this little notch right here being only in displacement. I really want that to be in topology. Granted, it's going to be completely hidden. But as I've said before, I'm treating this like a learning exercise as much as it is a project. This to go that way. And that connects. then go down the body. Oh, you bastard. Let's do past that. Oh, that's acting a bit weird. Getting there. I'm going to get the arms in and the legs. And I guess we should do the inside of the eye and the mouth before we up-res. And after we've up-res, we can connect it to the ear, because fuck doing that before we've up-resed anything.
They came from Brazil.
Where is it? Mesh, transfer attributes. Oh, let me just save actually. Mesh, transfer attributes. Yes, the stuff like that I want to get in Topo, so it's a little bit cleaner. Yeah, I want to have all this stuff go forward quicker, because it's travelling out too far. Which is not awful to do. It's not like the end of the world, but it does. It's just not the cleanest. Although I feel like I'm probably getting a bit too precious on that. That said, it does result in a really uneven, front to back amount of topology. So it is worth considering a few of these loops over to kind of even that out a bit more. And one thing I'm debating doing, once I've kind of got everything nailed down, is stuff like... So when I say nailed down, I mean like in final pass. So do stuff like this. Then we can go in and really refine some wrinkles. Granted, you don't want to do a full loop like that, but you get the point. Oh, I didn't do a full loop. I just didn't know what to do for some reason. Stuff like that. One thing I've always wanted to try is what happens if I just grab like every loop contained behind that. So let's just do this. Oh. Yeah, of course that doesn't work. Alright. What happens if you do like literally ridiculously local subdivisions? Because that could be cleaned up, like without too much difficulty. You just combine every other one to these and delete the middle edge. What does that look like when I transfer attributes to it? Mesh transfer attributes. You actually can't get away with doing stuff like that when you need like stupidly high resolutions for wrinkled maps. And this is 30,000 polygons, like that's perfectly acceptable. Granted, I know it's not a full body and it's got no costume, but in terms of like super high-end VFX stuff, like that's fine. Yes, don't ask again. I won't do that though. Because if we do ever do that, it's not going to be for a while. That's the sort of shit you do like right at the end. Because this is like a perfectly good amount of topology. Let's try... I think 45 is a good... No, actually, let's try 30. All that does is harden edges that have a more than 30-degree edge change, like this bit. And it just defines wrinkles and like edges of eyes and stuff, although it will manually soften that back out. And these ones. Right, so I feel like I might end the stream at this point because I am burning out in terms of just today's work. So before I end the stream, I am going to kind of talk about what's bugging me, why it's bugging me, and how I currently intend on fixing it. So we'll stay with the high res because it's more representative of our final topology. It's again not a 1-to-1 yet, but it's a lot closer. And we still have to figure out how to do this shit. That's going to be awful. So things that bother me. First, let's just go to our front view, grease pencil, add a layer. So first thing that bothers me is this kind of flow. Like it does that, and it means that you can't have any loops that just go straight over. So what I kind of want is to have loops like, you know, this can do what it wants, this can go down that way, but then have loops that go straight over. And that would allow the front of the model and the back of the model to be a lot more uniform. However, it does mean rerouting like a lot of this stuff, which won't be easy. But it will mean, because we're not guiding all these loops that way or this way, it will mean that we end up with much cleaner topo in that area. Which I feel like will make quite a large difference. Other than that, an area that's going to bug me until the end of this project, I think, is this one, because it's not following the actual shape of the expression, but then at the same time, it kind of shouldn't yet. I feel like I need to kind of sculpt with this topology and force that shape in. So we'll have to see how that goes. I'll be re-sculpting the shapes pretty much. Other than that, I think overall it works fairly well. We'll probably need some topology for like the wrinkles that kind of, you know, sag down here. Because we've got stuff that we need here. We've got these loops, but we don't have these loops. So just having something that kind of, you know, pulls all the skin in these areas, and maybe, you know, the one for the top. Yeah, to get some loops to reinforce those shapes. But overall, I think it's starting to work. We are definitely getting to a point now where we're starting to see what the project will become, which is obviously nice to see. And then we'll be hiding like all of this behind clothing, but at least it's there, you know, it's something that we can, well, it's something that I can kind of take and learn from. Because again, that is my reason for doing these projects, is to learn. But yeah, so I'm going to end the stream here. Well, actually, let's get the render going. Then I can just let that clean up. Alright, so I already set to not be progressive. Cool. Yeah, cool. So I'm going to end the stream here. I hope you guys have found it at least somewhat entertaining. And yeah, that'll be it for now. I might stream in the next few days. I'm off work until Thursday. Booked some time off for Easter, so you know, to get the most out of the 2 bank holidays back to back. So I should be doing some streaming like Tuesday, Wednesday time. But it will be like earlier hours, like today's was, you know, 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, whatever. But yeah, so I'm just gonna let this render out, get it posted, and yeah, in the next stream, as I said, it's gonna be another 2 streams or so before we finish with retopology, and plus we've still got a model like T for gums at least. So, but in the next stream, I'll try to correct this flow here, see what we can fix with that, and yeah. We'll just keep going with the project, see what we get out of it in the end, and hopefully it turns out alright. It seems to be going in the right direction so far. So yeah, alright, well enjoy the rest of the evening guys, and I'll see you in the next stream. Bye bye.